In this video, I'm going to tell you what I finally decided to do with my kill team teams. Last summer, Games Workshop came out with a new edition of Kill Team, Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team, their skirmish level sci-fi game. Now, I was a big fan of the previous version. So Kill Team 2021 is the new version, let's call it that, or Kill Team 21. And Kill Team 2018 was the previous version, Kill Team 18. And I was a big fan of Kill Team 18. I made lots of videos about it. I played it a whole bunch. It was pretty much my jam. And then Kill Team 2021 came out, and I was not particularly looking forward to it coming out because I really kind of liked the base version, and then 21 came out and it wasn't for me. I've made videos about it. You could watch them if you were so inclined. Pachow. But long story short is it was not a game for me. A lot of people dig it. That's cool. But anyway, that's just the way it went. But I did make a video saying, okay, but now what do I do with all of these models and teams for Kill Team 2018 that I have built and painted and the whole deal? I was doing a ton of painting on Twitch of kill teams. I did a lot of different kill teams. Adeptus Mechanicus. I did, Tyranids. A whole bunch of different ones. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but a bunch. And now they're sitting there. A bunch of them are now technically not legal to play in Kill Team 2021, the newer version. You can't run as many as I used to be able to, or whatever the deal is. All these different problems. And it was a bummer, and I made a video about that as well. Pachow. But now I finally have an idea what I'm going to do with them. I've started a new series here on the channel called Why I Like It, and it is a series about why I like specific, so far it's just been games, but eventually it'll be other things as well. Potentially, paint lines, particular hobby products, all kinds of stuff like that. But so far, all the videos have been about specific games that I like. So far, they've all been sci-fi skirmish games, sci-fi adjacent, skirmish games that are predominantly kind of indie. There may be a pattern there. If you want to watch that playlist, pachow. In that playlist, I talked about, and it's the most recent one I've done, a game that's called One Page Rules. Now, it's not technically a game. It is a company that makes a whole bunch of different types of games. One Page Rules has been around for a number of years, but since about 2019, 2020, they've really started to take off. And they make a game that is an army scale sci-fi game. They make a game that is a army scale, fantasy game. They also make skirmish versions of both of those. And they make a spaceship game and a bunch of other stuff and all that kind of stuff. But Grim Dark Future Firefight, which is their sci-fi skirmish game, has really kind of piqued my interest. And as I was looking at the rules and starting to come up with lists, I was like, okay, well, I could start working on this model, and I could, start doing these guys, and maybe I buy these guys. And then I started to think, wait, don't I have a whole bunch of models already finished? Now, it is no secret that Grimdark Future Firefight, and also Grimdark Future, and also Age of Fantasy and Age of Fantasy Skirmish, they're all designed off of GW properties to some degree. They're not the same game. They're a different game. I think that they're more streamlined, and I enjoy Grimdark Future Firefight specifically of the ones, and I think that's great. But what they're doing is they're like, look, you probably got a bunch of GW models. Rather than us trying to sell you a bunch of new models, why don't we give you stats for the models you already have, which has always been their kind of mantra. And for some reason, the weird kind of goblin part of my brain was like, yeah, but I should build and paint and buy new models. But I already have models. I have a whole bunch of them that I originally built and bought and painted and all that stuff for Kill Team 18. So I sat down and pulled out all my Kill Team 18 models that were all finished. Some of them never even played in Kill Team, Tyranids actually, to begin with, and started going through and building lists. The thing that's really interesting about them is they have a very, very, very surprisingly good online army builder thing. You build it through the web, and boy, it's better than anything that I've used from any other company, specifically big multi-billion-dollar ones. It works really, really well. Now they have, download the PDF and take a look at the stats and stuff like there. But now, like I said, under beta, Army Builder Beta, they have this great online thing, works on mobile, works on your tablet, works on your desktop, your laptop, whatever. I'm really impressed by it, and it has allowed me to very easily and quickly build a bunch of different lists. I'm going to go through here and show you some of my kill team stuff and tell you about what I'm doing with them to get them into Grimdark Future Firefight, for skirmish games. So I got them on my iPad here. I'm starting off, like I said, with an army that I built and painted and never actually got a chance to really run in Kill Team, and that was the Tyranids, which are referred to as alien hives here in Grimdark Future Firefight, which I'm getting better at saying. It's a mouthful, but I'm getting there. So I'm running literally only 4 models in 250 points. The skirmish aspect of the game, I feel like it's actually even fewer models than Kill Team 2018. I don't know that it seems like it's necessarily fewer models than the new version of Kill Team, because the new version of Kill Team has a tendency in a lot of different forces to be very model poor, meaning you're not running, like my old Imperial Guard list for Kill Team 18 was like 13 models, and now in regular Kill Team, it's kind of rare that you get a list that big. It happens here and there, but not too many. And in this particular army, I originally had 3 warriors and I think 3 gene stealers, and now I'm running basically what they call a prime warrior, which is your leader unit, your hero, if you will. And then there are 2 soul snatchers, which in this situation I'm using as gene stealers. Sometimes with the stuff from one-page rules, you can read it and go, I know what you're talking about. I see what you did there. You know what I mean? As far as like the name that they named it, so you know what they're talking about. Other times I'm looking at lists, and frankly, I'm like, I don't even know if this is made for a Games Workshop product. Now, they are starting to make their own miniatures via STLs that you can 3D print them and stuff like that. And they've started making their own lines, not just like, these are kind of Necrons. They're like just making entirely new, different. There's lists in Grimdark Future Firefight for Lizardmen, and stuff like that. Stuff that's not even available right now in 40K or whatever. So it's kind of interesting. Anyway, Prime Warrior, he comes to 105 points because I've given him Razor Claw and Barb Cannon. I've got the 2 Gene Stealers, who are pretty much just stock. And then a Hive Warrior, which is another warrior, but not the leader. He has fewer hit points. His tough is only 3 instead of 6. It's kind of the way the rules work. It's kind of like hit points, but not quite. Anyway, and he's got Razor Claw and a heavy Ravager gun. Now, again, you can always take the models and decide however you want them to work. You can be like, look, I'm going to call this a Ravager gun. I'm going to call this a such and such, because, sometimes, like I said, they will make something where you're like, I think that you mean plasma gun here, or plasma caliber, or whatever, from like AdMech, which we'll talk about next. But not always. Sometimes you can't, completely get it. And so in those situations, you get it close, and you don't have to be perfectly WYSIWYG, because again, you're not playing a Games Workshop product. You're just using their models. Another group that I also painted on Twitch, just like the aforementioned Tyranids, was Adeptus Mechanicus. They're known as Machine Cult here in Grimdark Future Firefight. And as a matter of fact, I just got done painting the HQ unit that I'm running, which is a Tech Priest Dominus. I was referring to him on Twitch generally as Spiderfeet McGee, but now he is High Priest Catruminius, which is a name I made up. You can name all your models and stuff like that too, right there in the web app. It's actually pretty cool if you're into that kind of stuff. And then he's got his big axe halberd thing. He's got a macro pistol, and he's got a V blaster, which is basically his Volkite blaster. And the macro pistol is called macro stubber or something like that. Anyway, you get the general gist. And he comes to 120 points at, again, 250. I've got 3 different, I believe, they're not Rangers, they're the other guys. Vindicators? No. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. But they're the kind of the smaller guys. I'll put it on the screen. Anyway, they all have a revolver and a taser sword, except for, one's got a revolver and a taser sword. One's just got the radium carbine, but they just called it an R carbine. And then there's a plasma carbine, or carbine, whatever. And those guys are 35, 20, and 35 points, respectively. And then lastly, I have the Infiltrator. Now, the Infiltrator, I know the model that I'm using here is not, he's an Infiltrator, but he's the fancy Infiltrator Alpha, or I don't know what he is. He's like the leader of the Infiltrators. But since I've only got one, I decided to go with him because he's fancier. He's got the cool coat. He's got his little skull friend hanging around with him, and he's got his little computer screen over here so he can keep track of his discords and all that kind of stuff and whatever. And I just like that model better. He has the same weapons as this loadout, so it's fine, even though technically he's, technically a fancier guy, but when it's your stuff, you can do what you want with it. Like I mentioned earlier, I also have a whole bunch of Imperial Guard that I used for a big, a good-sized kill team for Imperial Guard. A mix between the Tempestus guys and the regular dudes. Now, I went through and used Human Defense Force as my setup. There's also Feudal something or others in the Grimdark Future Firefight Army Builder. I forget, Feudal Forces or Feudal something. I decided that the Human Defense Force made more sense for these particular models, and that's what I built from. So I've got my lieutenant, and I gave them all names now, and as I have done that, now when I look here at the list, I can't see what they're actually called. So that was maybe not the right play. But I'm using, like I said, a mixture here. You'll see it here on the screen. I'm using a mixture of different Tempestus guys and regular, normal, Cadians. And I like being able to have a lot of different stuff going on there. Grenade launchers, flamethrowers, plasma rifles, fusion rifle, which is basically like their kind of, like the melt-a-gun kind of thing. Having that kind of mix, being able to go back and forth between these different models is really cool. And again, like I said, going through putting names on them is also fun, but it's not necessarily for everybody. I get that. The thing that I really like, though, is that now I can take these guys and I can use them in this force and, go out there and play. But if I wanted to, I could put them under a different entirely. I could go back to that feudal thing and put them in that thing instead under that, classification. I could probably, there's also Inquisition forces. I could use them in that. There's even like infected, there's infected troopers or something like that, which I think I might actually try to use some of my Traitor Guard for that. We'll see how it goes, but it gives you lots of options. I was thinking about taking Horus Heresy models and bringing them into the new Kill Team 2022. I kicked around that idea for a while, a couple of months ago, and then I changed my mind just because, for me, again, Kill Team 22, it's just got too much going on. It needs to be streamlined for me to enjoy it more. If you enjoy it, that's cool. Keep enjoying it. But for me, I wanted something a little bit more streamlined, which is why I ended up with Grimdark Future Firefight. Battle Brothers are basically regular old Space Marines. They also have another type of classification. They're like Primaris guys, but they call them something different. But these guys, because they are the tackiest of tack Marines, they're so old, they're 30K, I decided I wanted to use some of those guys from that Age of Darkness box, and I worked on them also a bit on Twitch recently. So these guys are actually technically new. These are not really models that I was going to use in Kill Team 2018. These are models that I was actually thinking about using for Kill Team 2022. Anyway, I've got like a master or a chapter master or something like that. I'm calling him Captain in this situation, but he's one of the Praetor models from the Horus Heresy, and then I've just got 3 regular guys. I replaced out their heads. On the big guy, I decided no cape because I'm just not into the capes thing. So I've got a sergeant with a plasma pistol and an energy sword, and I've also got one with a gravity rifle is what I'm calling it in this situation. That's actually something else in 30K. And then a heavy flamethrower. Now, obviously that looks like a not very heavy flamethrower, but it was a situation of points and me trying to completely maximize them. So I went with the heavy flamethrower, even though he's carrying what is pretty much obviously not very heavy. But, there's no reason that it couldn't have been, tuned up. Possibly somebody, a servitor, they got real lucky and cranked it up to 11, and now it's a heavy flamethrower, even though it's still in a small flamethrower body. I don't know. It's sci-fi, man. And then lastly, I've got a group that's technically not completely finished. I painted the Indominus Necrons, not all of them, but a good-sized portion of them, way back in the day when I first started on Twitch in 2020, summer of 2020. And they've been kind of sitting around not doing anything, obviously, since I got done painting them. So when it came time, again, to start going through and thinking, okay, well, what can I do to make some Grimdark Future Firefight teams? I thought, hey, I've got a bunch of Necrons. I should look into getting some sort of HQ unit to add to that group. And then, boom, there you go. Got yourself a list of robot legions, as they're called. So this particular guy is not actually finished yet. I'm actually working on him right now on Twitch. So he is like a Necron Overlord type model or whatever, and I'm calling him Lord Zimek the Destructor, which is a name that I made up. And then I got 3 warriors, and I'm painting him to match the guys that I painted from the Indominus box originally when I, like it said, was doing it back in 2020. And then there's also a Tri-Scorpion, which is obviously a Scorpek destroyer. And you've got a choice with him between having 2 blades or having the 1 blade, and it has slightly different stats and stuff like that. And I like that extra stuff. I also like the fact that with this army builder, not only does it give you all the stats and everything you need, which you can look at on your phone, on a tablet, whatever, you could print it out as a PDF if you want to. It also gives you all the special rules. So you don't have to go searching around going, well, this guy's got Strider. What does that mean again? What is Strider? Oh, this model may ignore the effects of difficult terrain. This model only needs to roll 2+ for a successful drop, leap, or jump. It's right there on the sheet, which is also really kind of nice. So I'll be perfectly honest with you, I'm not done either. I'm done for this video. These are the 5 that I've been working on recently, and I wanted to show them to you and maybe get you inspired to be able to go and look at the list, go through and build some stuff and go, hey, this is kind of interesting. Maybe you go out and you support them on Patreon, perhaps. Maybe you, I don't know, you could buy you could buy just this game. Let's say you wanted to just play Grimdark Future Firefight, the skirmish sci-fi game. You can pick it up from their website or from Wargame Vault, a couple different places. It costs $5. You have a lot of different options if you want to, but you can sit there and just build the lists and stuff like that for free, actually, right there on the website, and check it out yourself. Come up with some ideas, perhaps. I'm going to be doing the same because I've still got more models that I painted, back in the Kill Team 2018 days that are going to get transferred into this. And then once they're all kind of figured out as far as lists are concerned, I'm going to start building some more. I hope this maybe helps you to figure out, if you're just kind of maybe looking at a bunch of models you've got, whether they're from Games Workshop or any company, and you're like, I'm really interested in trying to play something a little bit more stripped down, a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more skirmish. How do I do it? I hope that this has helped you to figure that out and maybe take a look at some of these lists and start going through and figuring out how to do your own lists and enjoy yourself with the models that you have a little bit more. If you like this video, it'd be great if you could hit the like button down there at the bottom. It really does help the channel out. It doesn't cost you nothing. If you want to subscribe, that'd be great too. Thanks for watching.